this month's CD is basically a cavalcade of mediocrity. Even the not very much sold. Even on the headliner titles here are not things that really get my blood boiling. I mean, they do get my blood boiling, but like not in a good way. They get my blood boiling in a very negative way. And so the first up is EA/Origin's BioForge, which, being an Origin game, has very high production values, including this beautiful animated intro scene that we'll see here. And so there was recently a Facebook question that was on the MS-DOS gaming group, which was, what is the equivalent of Crysis for MS-DOS gaming, right? The game that was really difficult to run on computers of that period. And somebody called out BioForge as being one of the most difficult games to run at the time, because it uses perspective correct texture mapped graphics at full screen, and it's all done using software rendering. And so I believe the box said you need to have a 33 megahertz 486 or better, but apparently it ran like garbage on that. This was a game that needed the fastest Pentium of the era, which is still only a 120. The 133 hasn't even come out yet. So we have the advantage of DOSBox here. Do you know the story? I
don't think it's comparable, though, because at least when Crysis came out, you could buy a video card that could play it. I mean, it would cost, your whole paycheck or whatever, but
you could.
At this time, I don't think a 120 can even play this really adequately. Like, you're just kind of barely skating by.
Well, I think part of the problem is that even on a high-spec machine, I mean, I played this on real hardware as well. I played it on a machine in 233 megahertz on a Pentium MMX, and it was decent, but the game is not incredibly responsive even on faster hardware. Like it's the nature of this game that it is a little bit plodding and awkward. Do you know the story?
Not as well as you, Alice.
So apparently in the future, there is a group that controls the universe called the Reticulum. And I misread that as the Rectum 5 times in the Wikipedia article before I realized it was Reticulum. And they are opposed by a religious fanatical group called the Mondites, who I imagine are followers of Walter Mondale or something like that. And they apparently make horrible human cyborg abominations, either for fun, profit, or potentially in order to fight the forces of the Reticulum. I haven't really gotten that far in the game. At this point, all I know is that right in here, this creepy guy with a very long nose who uses his woodworking equipment on you. He's about to do that now.
Let me put you through the table saw. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's one of those wake up on a table games. Not my favorite wake up on a table game. I think it would be Planescape. So do you want to narrate this for us here? Do a little play-by-play?
All right. We got a ring right in.
There we go.
Chest.
And some strawberry jam there.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yes. Okay. And he's checking to make sure.
He looks longingly at you.
Yep, that went right in your chest. Yep. Okay.
All right.
And a little bit of a 3D title screen here. And so why don't you tell us about the wonderful control scheme that Origin devised for this?
Well, you're about to come up upon it. Yeah. Oh, sorry, you gotta click.
Also,
easy, I think, is the way to...
Can I get this mouse cursor pack for Linux, where it's a gigantic arm with 3 nubbly fingers that takes up the 30% of my screen? We'll do easy.
I think it's great.
It is
so the control scheme here is you get to rotate and then you can move forward. There's a lot of fighting hand to hand in this game, and you have to press C, and then you have to press basically every other key on the keyboard to do weird things. Like there's the numpad, like up is some sort of punch, and some other direction will be a kick. It's a bit bizarre.
Yeah. So Yeah, it's interesting. So it's a good left-hand, right-hand sort of setup in that you normally do movement using the numpad, but when you're in combat mode, if you hit a direction while holding control, I believe it does a punch, and if you hit a direction while holding alt, it does a kick, and it's a high or a low kick depending on which one. So I'm going to enter combat mode. As you can see, I take a combat ready stance, and now I'm going to miss terribly, even though it really looks...
Right.
Well, I guess I need to slowly... So if you just walk right into that blue energy field there, it's not good.
Yes, but you're trying to...
Apparently I'm too distant.
Yeah, I think you need to let it move a bit.
Let him move?
So that you can...
What happened there? Oh,
what happened?
I don't know. Apparently I hit him so hard he bounced off of the fourth wall. The fourth wall didn't break. There we go. Okay, well, we can continue on our merry way. Now, the control scheme is terrible. I'll disable combat mode now, but for whatever reason, on this disc and games of this period seem to be into this modal sort of combat versus exploration thing where you tap a button to move between sort of an aggressive or combat mode and like an exploratory mode, rather than just have these things sort of happen seamlessly, which is interesting. I don't know why there was interest in that, but Relentless Twin Suns Adventure is like the same way. Something that is very progressive about this game is the very immersive presentation. We don't have, as in System Shock, a health bar and all this UI cluttering up in menus. If I see something ground, I pick it up and then the character will speak it, and if I hit spacebar, then he'll bring it up to his face and I can read it.
Yeah, there's a lot of reading in this game. It's pretty beautiful for 95. It actually reminds me a little bit of like Final Fantasy VII, like kind of the rendering and then the hand-drawn backgrounds.
Yeah, so the dramatic static camera angles, that's another big thing for this year. We're going to see a lot of that. Pre-render backgrounds, sort of cinematic presentation. But this is higher spec than Final Fantasy VII, which is... Final Fantasy VII is not even come out in the US till like 1997, right? And it was all gross shaded, right? It's all flat shaded polys. We got perspective correct textures on this bad boy. So...
Yeah.
Anyway, at this point, I think someone has dropped their ear, or maybe it's my ear. That would make sense given it's my room. And now I can pick it up. I think I don't know. It's like under me. I don't know if I pick up the right thing. And then I can eat it like a chicken wing, which is odd.
Yeah, delicious.
I think it's trying to tell me that this game is into auto cannibalism.
Yeah.
So last time I played this, I was unsuccessful in recreating the sort of trademark scene from this game, which is to try to use people's severed limbs as weapons. But if I go combat stance, I think if you hit 5, that's supposed to be a weapon. But for whatever reason, it's like it doesn't ever do it for me. I don't know. I don't find this to be. He just kind of looks at it. I don't know. It's just like an object of interest. Well, anyway, I just put this down. I gotta get out of combat mode or I'll never get in here. Anyway, this guy is, he's taunting me right now. Dude, you gotta move away from the force field so I can come in and see you.
There you go.
Okay. Now,
He doesn't care about your shared plight. He just wants...
Yeah, you would think that we would talk, and I tried to talk it out with him. We could talk about maybe we could get out here together. We could reminisce about that time that someone used their woodworking equipment on us. But instead, he immediately gets violent, and then the camera changes, and you're facing the wrong direction. You have to slowly rotate, very slowly. Oh, he's kind of wrecking me.
In the face. Yeah. So, I mean, this control scheme is known as tank controls, and it's just not good. But it's going to come up again.
It's going to come up again really soon.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I might have got him in the vitals on that one. So another interesting thing about this is because we don't have a health bar or anything on screen, the way that the game sort of tells you that you're wounded is by having the character walk sort of with a limp. So now that I've been sort of in combat here, I'm walking with this
recharge
enormous
yourself.
limp. But yeah, Alan pointed out that I can bring up a menu here and I can, was it diagnostics or something? I can turn on my biological repair unit.
There you go.
And just heal right up. And it's got that lovely sort of Star Trek font that we also saw in System Shock. But this game has nothing to do with that. But obviously is in dialogue with that game. So I'm not giving this one pick of the disc. I think it is an interesting sort of technical showpiece for this period, but I wouldn't call playing it enjoyable in any way.
Yeah, I think people agreed. I think it got kind of like 3 stars or something from Next Gen or something.
Yeah.
I mean, the engine is great. Probably you know, probably couldn't play it on your computer back then, but
right.
But yeah, just the control scheme just kind of wrecks this one.
So speaking of games that the control scheme wrecks, we have another one for you, which is very similar. It's a pretty bad fail. If we CD into here, we can see the next game in our cavalcade of tank control demos for this month, and that is Alone in the Dark 3. Now, I love the original Alone in the Dark. I think it's a landmark title. It basically created the modern survival horror game as we know it today. But the 2 games that follow it in the original series seem to have lost the spirit. And I think that they lost the spirit because they lost the entire development team right after the release of the first game, because they had a disagreement with the CEO of Infogrames, Bruno Bonnell, who had a bit of an ego and didn't always like to share the spotlight. And we'll see in this intro his name featured prominently. He made sure to give himself like full credit once the rest of the team had left. But for those who don't know, Alone in the Dark was a Lovecraftian horror title, and one of the first games to use polygonal graphics combined with sort of pre-drawn backgrounds to create a suspenseful environment. And of course you're going to see the exact same stuff in Resident Evil. In fact, it's kind of frightening how much Resident Evil just photocopies right out of the Alone in the Dark series.
Yeah, Alone in the Dark and BioForge were kind of inspirations for Biohazard or Resident Evil, and they kept the tank control just to make sure.
Yeah, just for old time's sake. Hey,
why not?
It must be part of the winning formula here, right? To have the tank controls, and it's not. But so the first game is this lovely Lovecraftian horror environment, and there's a lot of. This was before like Lovecraftian horror was passé. This is like millions of years before Bloodborne and things like that. Lovecraftian horror in video games was quite new. And so we're into the menu screen now. So it was an amazing thing, and what made it sort of the first game, a real survival horror game, is that unlike in most games where you're expected to defeat all of the enemies that you encounter, that they're what are called power fantasies. And the Digital Antiquarian has a great article on Alone in the Dark. It talks about how it differentiated itself from other games. But whereas most games in this genre were power fantasies, where you're always just getting more and more powerful and you're expected to take out all the enemies, you didn't have the equipment that you needed to actually take on all of the enemies. Often, your best bet in Alone in the Dark was simply to run, which was different and new, and something that made it special. But this, Alone in the Dark 3, having lost the original development team to Delphine Software, this is what I like to call the Back to the Future Part 3 of the Alone in the Dark trilogy, which is apt.
Which is apt because it's a Western, which makes sense for the people who made Back in the Future, but I don't know, for French, I don't know. It seems a little bit out of their wheelhouse. But we'll find out. Maybe it's going to be great, right?
It could be great. Let's start a game.
It could be great. Let's watch.
Yeah. So it takes place in the Wild Wild West. a place called Slaughter Gulch, and our protagonist, Ed Carnby, the same one from the earlier games, has to rescue someone named Emily, if I recall correctly.
Yeah. And, so this engine is, just minorly updated from the original Alone in the Dark. So it's kind of 1992 graphics, but... Yeah. It was ahead of the time for 1992, so it's okay.
I mean, it could do things on 286s that you didn't see before. I mean, this game had really low system requirements when it came out, and that's one of the reasons why it was so astonishing, because it wasn't thought that you could do any sort of 3D graphics on the mainstream PCs of that time.
Yeah.
Right, so and as you can see, there's someone behind me.
Yeah, Cowboy Zombies.
Cowboy Zombies. Yeah, I don't really know. Yeah. I wish I had a better description for the enemies you encounter in this game than Cowboy Zombies, but here they are. This guy helpfully welcomes you to his community. And it looks like the game ends right here, and I would be fine with that being the ending, given how painful it is to play through the rest of it. But as it turns out, that is not a fatal injury.
No, being blown up.
Being blown up is not
fatal. Okay, cool.
I'm just gonna show like one more minute of how painful it is.
Start running.
To play this, yeah. So double tapping brings up the run, and sometimes, there we go. Except we have to load in order to go into the saloon here. As I told Alan before, people in this game walk in a way that only people in French video games walk, which is as though they have some very rigid apparatus inserted into their rectum. And you see this in games like other Delphine software games, like Another World and so on and so forth. And you can't just pick stuff up. No, you have to search for it. And of course, most of the time when you see something right on the table, right in front of the character, but then you tell the character to search, the character can never find it.
Yeah, I think this demo is buggy. I'm pretty sure it'll show up on a later PC Gamer.
It'll be like, yeah, we kind of redid all that.
Yeah, you couldn't pick up anything. Sorry about that.
We're sorry about that. You have to be, the thing is, you have to be like on the right screen. Just because you can see it doesn't mean you're in the right place. Like right here, I can see this, right?
Get that maraca.
That maraca is right there. So I'm going to go into the menu and I'm going to search for it. I'm sure it will be found, right? And no, it can't be found. But I had better luck over in this other corner. Anyway, as you can see, the presentation is very much like a Resident Evil game. You have these dramatic fixed camera angles with polygonal graphics, and when monsters and things start to show up, then it becomes even more like it. But I cannot bear to play this anymore.
Yeah, I think we should put you out of here.
We should just get out of here, put everyone out of their misery, and move on to another lovely game. Now it's going to play this
gotta watch the unnecessary animation.
They're just showing off here that they could do. Look at that! We can texture map a cube.
They know this is how you sell a game when people are quitting the demo.
Right. I know. And I love that they decided, we should probably give them the setup and all the context for this right after they've tried playing through it and quit in frustration. Now would be the perfect time. My Wild West Adventure is available. That's right. Everybody call that number right now. See what happens. Call them. Okay.
All right.
So we're going to do one more stinker before we move on to something that I might actually enjoy. And that one is going to be our old friend Thunderscape.
Thunderdome.
Thunderscape. Yes. We will say Sunday, 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 and Saturday at the Thunderdome. It's SSI's latest role-playing game. I don't even know. This is like
CD Thunder.
CD Thunder.
CD. See, I think shorter file names were cooler.
Oh, but then look at all these bat files. I'm going to go for run. That one sounds good. Yeah. What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
Now, this demo is early. Obviously, someone was like, hey, Chuck, what's on the build machine today? It's like, oh, I have this binary. We haven't tested it, though, and I don't think anyone should use this. I'm like, oh, okay. Send it to PC Gamer. They're going to press it into 100,000 disks. So this is another lovely game from SSI. SSI, of course, the fabled creators of the Gold Box series of advanced Dungeons & Dragons computer role-playing games from the early DOS era. But since the early DOS era, sales of those games have sort of declined, and SSI really hasn't kept pace with the rest of the industry when it comes to technology. Obviously, Ultima Underworld has come out. We've seen a fully realized, fully three-dimensional role-playing environment, and it's time for SSI to make their own statement. Now, the owners of Dungeons & Dragons, TSR, have become impatient with SSI and have failed to renew their license for AD&D, forcing SSI to come up with an original IP, and they come up with this Thunderscape. And it's a combination of sort of high fantasy and steampunk, which is less generic, I think, than what they were doing sort of at the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons license. But let's see how fully realized it is and whether or not they created something which is high spec enough to capture the jaded eye of your average May 1995 gamer.
Yeah. Let's get into it because there's a lot of clicking.
There is a lot of clicking. Yeah, Can I get out of this? Can I get out of this cutscene? I thought my computer had frozen when I first played this because the cutscene it has motion up to a point and then it just stops. It just stops on this frame and then the narrator keeps on going in this overdramatic voice for like 2 minutes.
With a flash of lightning, the age of thunder is born. With it, a whole new game world from SSI.
Did you do the voiceover for this game?
I can. SSI's all-new World of Aiden is a big, brawny, boisterous realm.
Big, brawny, boisterous realm?
Magic.
The big, brawny man's realm.
Steaming technology and powerful sorcery. Aiden is a huge world of unbridled imagination and limitless possibilities.
Oh, so it's sort of like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Is that what happens to your party that gets thinned out? Huge snozzberries.
It's a world of pure imagination. Thunderscape. Your escape from reality. We used to have the Dungeons & Dragons license, but we lost it because our sales were declining for a decade. Oh, Thunderscape, we're back.
Alright. Taking the glass elevator now.
Taking the glass elevator to the Thunderdome. Now, I'm not going to repeat what I did last time where I attempted to use the mouse controls because that was bad. So we're going to... Oh, my God. See, I was looking around. Did you see these guys? Did you see a beast head and a smoke demon anywhere?
I saw nothing, but...
I didn't see anything, but now that we attacked...
Well, at least you have a party with free... You said that the demo is a bit different than the retail release, right?
So the demo, I think you begin in the same area that you do in the retail release. I don't know if they actually got all the lore elements and things into it. I've had so many problems with everything in the game demo that I can't really comment on what is going on back there. There's a lot of action. And it's like, oh, I'm going to attack you. Oh, I forgot my keys. I'll be right back. Yep. No, I'm going to attack you. Oh, no, wait. I forgot my wallet. So the first thing to note about this game is, look, when you click on the action menu here, look at how many different attacks you have. You have a normal attack, you have a berserk attack. You have this one, this poking through the heart thing is called a vitals attack. But
when does one not berserk?
When you normal or vital. What is this? Parry? This is a cudgel. I know. One is all hit somebody with your shield. This is kicking them in the ghoulies. This is just disapprove, dislike. This is dislike. If you don't like this anime, you can click on this and it'll be downvoted.
It hurts their ego.
Yeah, it hurts their search ranking if you do that. So it seems like, wow, there's an awful lot of depth here. And look, in the magic menu, the menus are all very easy to use. The only problem is that all of these are pointless if the enemies are not themselves like complex and intricate and interesting enough for you to need to have a complicated battle system to fight them with. What I discovered is that basically all your different attacks have different chances of hitting, and so if you can do a normal attack, you have a good chance of doing sort of moderate damage. If you do a vitals attack, you have a small chance of doing high damage. But it all comes out in the wash. It doesn't matter really what you click. And I've also never had magic connect on any enemy ever in this demo, which I imagine is a bug.
So basically, it's like a thriller music video that you just keep on pressing attack. The standard attack.
Yeah. So what happens after your magic missile misses for the 10,000th straight time? Then you start to say, why am I even going through this menu? So you just really rapidly click on this, and now I'll be doing better than I was before, and I don't have to think about it. So contemporary reviews, namely Scorpia's review in Computer Gaming World, said that the game shows sort of promise early on. The tech is good, the graphics are interesting, the intro area kind of has a lot of little hidden nooks and crannies and lore elements to discover. But then as you proceed through the game, it doesn't introduce new enemies. Those lore elements start to, fall to the wayside, and then you're just left with this monotonous combat with all these options that don't really have any effect. I mean, it would be great if, you had to cast this spell in order for the enemy's vitals to be like uncovered, and then you could use the vitals attack, and they just didn't do that. So it's just this kind of sad, mindless.
It's a grind.
It's a grind, and it's too bad. I mean, they developed this whole like backstory and this new world, this beautiful new IP, and they actually eventually brought this to tabletop and stuff like that. The world of Adom. But the game, the thing that was supposed to sort of save SSI, didn't. Which is unfortunate. But yeah, I'm take that, Smoke Demon. I mean, is he made of smoke? He has a skeleton that's made out of smoke, or is he just smoke colored? Or maybe he was smoked, like he's a smoked demon. Is it? There's just some things. I mean, some of the like just straight up steampunk elements are fun. Oh, it's the steam golem. It's not a regular golem. Do you have any other thoughts on this before I abort? I mean, I can walk around a little bit more.
Still probably the best game on this disc.
Oh my god, this is your pick of the disc so far? I mean, it looks, as Scorpio said, it gets off to a good start, right? It looks like things are going to be great. We have this nice 3D engine. Look. Steam Golem. Steam Golem's back.
I like how you just can add Steam to anything.
Yeah, exactly. That was like, this is how we'll make this a steampunk game. We'll add the word Steam to normal enemy names.
You're gonna flash them. I guess the magic missile's not working out for you.
None of these things do anything. I mean, it doesn't matter how much it costs. 0. Critically hit for 15. Flash, did that do anything? I mean, the effects are lovely. But there's little else to say. I mean, this demo was too early, honestly, and like the mouse support is broken. If you try to navigate using the mouse, which uses a system similar to Ultima Underworld, where you have to click, and then if you go in different corners, it either turns or moves forward, and it's as nauseating here as it was in Ultima Underworld. But Ultima Underworld is a much better game, a really much more fully realized game than this dungeon crawler is. But yeah, it looks great. When you're playing it, people will come over your shoulder and be like, what's that? I never played that before. Well, of course you haven't, because Thunderscape was not a commercial success. But Anyway, you can check it out. I had a lot of problems running this on real hardware because it is
clearly this was like a development build. It just got thrown on a disc. But whatever.
It had some very particular notions about how your XMS should be configured, but you can find a patch for this online that makes life better. But anyway, the game
let's get to the dessert.
Can we just get to the dessert? Yeah, let's get to the
dessert. Bro.
It's the main course. I don't know what you're talking about.
You're gonna enjoy this much more than you should. Go on, have fun.
I'm trying to. I don't know how to get it out. Oh, there we go.
Oh, slowly fades out.
It slowly, very slowly and dramatically fades out. It's coming soon from SSI. Make sure to call whatever phone number they have for it there and find out who lives there now. This is probably the last game we're going to talk about on this disc, which is a shame because the disc also includes the Apogee Shareware Classic Raptor Call of the Shadows. But I think probably everyone's already seen and played that game. I mean, it's a vertical shooter for the PC. It's a lot like Raiden. Control schemes. Here we have a game which dares to be stupid. And it's another classic from our friends at American Laser Games, purveyors of many horrible, racist, stereotype, sort of laser disc light gun games from the 90s.
We previously called them the white privilege simulators for PC.
Yes.
And
no,
there's no doubt this is the same.
Okay, but the last one was called Crime Wars 2
Drug Wars.
Drug Wars. Crime Patrol 2 Drug Wars, I think was the full title. I think we called it it's a prejudice-based shooter where depending on the ethnic sort of background of the person who comes on screen, you either shoot them or don't shoot them, and that's how you play the game. And so for this month, they've provided us with yet another classic, The Last Bounty Hunter. I don't know what happened to all the other bounty hunters. Or this is yet another sort of cultural appropriation thing, like Tom Cruise's The Last Samurai. You be the judge.
Well, let's see the story. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah. So this is some sort of, I think she's supposed to be some sort of madam who's sort of introducing you to the plot of the game. But she looks a lot like Jennifer Connelly in Beetlejuice for some reason. Like they were aiming for Wild West, but they went way over into Hot Topic. Anyway, you can see, it's giving you a good, now, because this is American Laser Games game, you can shoot right now. Their shooting is allowed. It does nothing, but it does expend all of your ammo.
Oh, yeah, huh. That can...
Right, which is great. The UI here is just completely broken. So in order to begin the game, you have to go down to the corner and click, because that's obvious. See, you can learn a thing or two about UI, SSI. And we're going to start this game. Now, if you have a stopwatch or a wristwatch, I'd like you to count the number of seconds that transpire between when I click this new game button and when I get shot in the face, because it's not going to be many.
The good thing is you never die permanently.
And this guy comes, and then boom. And that's game. It's one-shot kills. So this is another game you have to memorize absolutely everything, because you don't have any time to react. You have to already be set up for it. And I don't understand why everyone in this game is in such a rush. Like this guy who says, "Handsome Harry, he used to be my attorney. You can trust him." He delivers his line like half a millisecond, because I don't know why. They were running low on film or something, and they're like, "Listen, we got to do this all in one cut, and we got to do it real fast." So,
well, keep in mind they have to put all this on a laser disc, and there's like some branches,
I guess so.
Maybe.
But it feels horribly rushed. So I'm gonna try. I got him.
They also didn't hire they didn't hire Meryl Streep
I got him.
and Morgan Freeman to act
right.
as.
So this guy says, whoa, Umbre, I'm white. You shouldn't be shooting me. And then boom, cane gun, right?
Cane gun.
Right?
And then we go back to stereotypes.
Right.
I like how they made sure that the stereotypes got the maximum, airtime.
Right. He does. You'll see him all. I mean, every time you get shot, you die, and it restarts the whole thing. And he has some, parting words for you. But it also doesn't make any sense because sometimes you have, a taunting screen here with the gravedigger and his assistant. But sometimes it takes you back to the mayor. So I don't know if you're always being fatally wounded or what. Like sometimes you die. Now we're back to this guy, right? So either we're dead and he's talking to us, or when we sometimes are dead when you show up with the gravedigger. See, this guy just tells you to try it again. Like, oh, you got shot. You just go right back into it. The gravedigger is sort of like, oh, you're dead now. But it makes no difference. Do you think I can get Cane Guy? Here we go. So, no. I was one pixel off. So tell us about the critical reception for this.
Entertainment Weekly reviewed this. We don't know.
Which is bizarre. Like, really? Did they review video games? Did TV Guide say something about this? What did they conclude?
I thought these games were just for police training, to make sure that they had fully internalized all the biases they're supposed to have.
Right.
But yeah, they gave it a C- and pointed out the gravedigger ratio stereotype.
Right.
And all the other reviewers, I don't know why they were confused, but they said, "Oh, this is too similar to all the American laser games catalog," which that's kind of the point. It's exactly the same. So do you have to wait until you know he's a threat?
I'm shooting him now.
Ah, come on.
I shot him like 10 times. No, I think maybe you can't until he draws. He's not technically a threat. I don't understand. I love the idea that Entertainment Weekly or whatever is reviewing this game, being like, well, you'd be better off spending your time watching a new season of Touched by an Angel than playing this. Anyway, this is horrible. This is the farthest I've gotten. Okay, do I blow up the TNT? Maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm gonna wait. I'm waiting. What? This is terrible. Anyway,
right.
Well, the thing about the last one, Drug Wars, was that it had horrible ratio stereotypes, but Lopez is kind of funny, and Lopez's bodyguard is a dead ringer for Ben Kingsley for some reason. I don't know why, but he is. Anyway, so if we had to pick a pick at the disc,
I'm still doing Thunderscape.
You're still doing Thunderscape? I would just do Raptor Call of the Shadows, honestly, because it's at least a very playable game. I mean, we could show the ladies and gentlemen Raptor Call of Shadows. I don't even have it installed, I don't think, but all we do is just run now, right? Now can I run it?
Right. Run Rap.
Let's see.
The height of gaming excitement. It's really building up expectations here.
Well, as I said, Raptor Call of Shadows, which I think pretty much everyone played. It was a very popular shareware game back in the 90s. Because there weren't that many good vertical shooters, like arcade vertical shooters for the PC, if you were into that sort of thing. And Raptor is one that has a little bit of depth. Smug. So you have a little shop here where you can go and you can trade your credits at Harold's Death Emporium in order to buy things that are useful to you in order to tackle the different levels, which is pretty cool.
Like atomic weapons.
like things that are banned by the Geneva Convention and stuff like that. Anyway, and then this is the shareware, so we can't go into the exciting sounding Tango sector, which is full of Latin dance, but rather we can go into the Bravo sector, which is all that anyone ever saw, because you nobody ever bought the actual full version of this. Everyone just played the shareware, and it's fun.
And what is the point? You just want money or points or whatever?
Well, you're trying to make progress through these different sectors, and then when you inevitably die, you spend some money and you upgrade your weaponry. So most of these guys they're not going to like drop. They're going to drop monies. See
that's weird.
See the dollar bill there? They'll drop money.
Usually,
they'll drop energy.
Usually
they might
money
drop an
doesn't
energy cell.
Float in the air.
Usually not, but this is a special case. The thing is, sometimes you don't want to take out some of these guys because the way that their fire pattern is, you got to right in front of them. You're going to take too much. You can see on the right there, that's my health. It's rather low. But this was a really fun arcade game that didn't have horribly high system requirements. And
so this is your pick of the disc.
My pick of the disc is the most playable game on this disc, Raptor Call of Shadows. You don't need to have a Pentium 120. You don't need to spend $4,000 on a Falcon Northwest system to play this game. It is infinitely playable. It has
you are such a simple,
satisfying gameplay. Well, what do you want to do? You want to give pick of the disc to?
I'm still Thunderscaping it.
You're not gonna. How about BioForge?
They tried. They really needed. They just lost their contract.
It's a pity. You're giving them the pick of the disc out of pity. It's a pity pick. That doesn't make any sense. I would give it to BioForge for their technical ambition. I mean, that is some pretty amazing work for 1995 on PC. You know. You don't know? We'll see.
No, I don't like having a separate combat mode where you have to memorize 18 keys to fight. No, I don't approve of that.
Well, it's too bad.
Ooh.
Don't worry, he's fine. He'll be fine. Just taking a nap after a long day at work. Okay, so you want to give it to Thunderscape. Pick up the disc. I am really looking forward to seeing what happens in June because there are some really, important releases coming out later here in 95, and I'm wondering what's going to show up. So if you have enjoyed the podcast and you're listening to the podcast version of this, please come check us out by searching for Smug and Play on YouTube. If you would like to read some in-depth articles behind the scenes on mid-90s gaming, you can check out our website, smugandplay.com. And if you would like to interact with us on social media, we are posting as @smugandplay on both Instagram and Twitter. Alan, do you have any information that would be useful to the ladies and gentlemen who have watched the show?
Information? I mean, we want all the hateful YouTube comments that you can bring.
Yes.
Bring it on.
Yes, force us to shut down the comments. That would be great. Anything else? Okay.
No.
We will see you next month on Smug and Play then.